Our video begins with a tale as old as the Power 9. Once upon a time, I strolled into my first LGS, bought my first playmat at the store, and sat down with the only pod there. Should have known at that point what I was getting myself into. And guess what happened? I lost. Not only did I lose, but I lost by turn 6 into an infinite combo that I didn't even understand until it killed me. I bought a pre-made deck off eBay, made changes to it to appease our Lord and Savior Rachel Weeks, and threw some powerful cards in there that I thought were good. Why wasn't I still beating anyone? Well, that's the easy part. Your deck sucks. Just kidding. If you're having the same string of bad games as I once did, welcome. Come on in and take a seat. My name is Really Bad at Magic the Gathering, and in this video, I'm going to talk to you about the top things you can be doing in your deck design and gameplay to take you from the person who people ignore at the table and transform you into the person that wins. The first thing we're going to be talking about is the deck cohesion, or the theme of your deck. You gotta have a plan or theme behind this deck. It's very valuable to start off with a specific gameplay mechanic, or a thematic one, I'm not judging you chair players, and build off of that. Things like life gain, burn, Voltron, mill, landfall, dragons.
What in oblivion is that?
All of these larger categories of decks allude themselves to certain gameplay loops and cards that absolutely elevate your game. Take a moment to consider what your deck's main idea is. Is it +1/+1 counters? Or is it extra combats? Picking one or two key themes is so important to your deck's cohesion. Once you have an idea of the main theme behind your deck, pay attention to cards that don't tango with the rest of the deck. Think about cards that, when you draw them, you're either excited to play it, or it develops your deck's thing more. Once you have this main idea of the deck down to a science, some cards will reveal themselves as being dead or unplayable trash. Further, goldfish your deck and play it often. Goldfish means playing it against yourself to see how it shakes out. Play until turn 6 or 7 to see how your deck performs. Doing so will allow you to start identifying gameplay trends or loops that you like or dislike, and that will enable you to then start cutting cards. Okay, so you have your deck's theme and a couple of cards that you know are winners with some cards that you've just cut. Now what? Am I automatically CEDH and tournament ready? Slow down, jump to conclusions, Jimmy. We gotta talk about curves. The kind of curves any player truly desires. Mana curves. Really bad at Magic the Gathering, I hear you cry. What even is my mana curve? Well, if you've been hard of hearing for the last 1 million deck building advice videos, your mana curve is the average cost of your spells in any given deck compared against when you want to play a given spell. Now, take a good look at your mana curve. What's it look like? If you have 1,000,000 6 and 7 drops and no 2 drops, I think it may be time to reconsider your curve. Your early game will feel as useless as a second kidney, and you'll feel completely inadequate as a player and a person. So how do we reconcile this deep, dark, decrepit pit in your soul? First, I think it's important to map out what plays you want on a specific turn. Let's say you're building Karlov of the Ghost Council, focused on gaining life. Since Karlov is a 2 CMC commander who is a payoff to life gain, more likely than not, I'll want to spend the first turn making sure I have some way of triggering that life gain. This means increasing the number of 1-drop life gain creatures in my total list to ensure that I can draw at least one of them in my starting 7. Now, if I know I play Karlov every turn 2, I know I want to protect him at all costs, as he'd be the main removal engine in the deck. So, turns 3 and 4, I can work on playing things that protect him, or setting up more life gain packages. So, turn 1, life gain, turn 2, Karlov, turn 3, protection, turn 4, more life gain. Okay, so what do we learn from this brief example? 1. Think about when you want to play your commander. If you have a 5 CMC commander, having ramp turns 1 through 4 are tantamount to playing your commander early. So having a higher quantity of those 1 through 4 CMC ramp spells in your list may be helpful. Further, removing cards that are your commander CMC will allow you to remove the decision paralysis on your turn and smooth out your deck's total curve, as it'll allow you to put in more different spells in different slots and not clog up your quote-unquote commander CMC slot. Secondly, having ideas for turns plotted out allows you to identify how much of a type of card you need in your deck. If you want to have your Valgavoth deck online before you play Valgavoth, that means you need damage pingers before you play him. That means you want a lot of CMC 1 through 4 damage pings in your deck. And a final note about higher CMC spells. Look, you want to make as many plays as you can per turn. So tapping out all of your mana for a Craterhoof sounds all good and dandy until the sweaty blue player moves to tap their 2 islands. Once that happens, your time for casting's over. Kaput. Gone. Would you rather have more 4 and 5 drops that have equally as much "whoa, this is commander, look at me go" value than not? Unless you have a way to cheat out costs, or your deck contains a lot of ramp and is focused on casting big baddies, I'd be wary of anything over 6 CMC. Speaking of ramp, you know what's not talked about, like, ever? Lands. I'm gonna keep this short, because you don't need a lengthy, calculated expression for you folks to understand at home. You aren't running enough lands.
Oh my god!
I don't care that you're not a landfall deck. 33 lands is too few, especially at a casual table. You need to be able to play a land every turn. Why? Because you want to play the game. Run 36 through 39. I'm not explaining the number. Yes, I run average CMC decks. It's as easy as this. No land equals no spells equals deck sucks equals train go boom.
Train go boom.
Because what feels worse than not being able to play the cool cards that you bought? Oh yeah, playing the card and then getting it removed. Interaction. Probably the most underrated part of your EDH deck is your interaction package. Do you have creature removal besides combat damage? Do you have enchantment removal? Board wipes? Planeswalker removal? Emblem removal? Just kidding. You actually can't remove an emblem unless you restart the game. Thanks, Karn. Think about the format. You are always in a 1v1v1v1. You're playing against 3 other players who are also trying to win. It's like a Call of Duty free-for-all, except instead of screaming children and quickscoping, it's screaming adults in fast 2-card combos. The remedy? Removal. Pack it in there. Think about cards that you need to help yourself win. Now think about removing them. Do you have the ability to do so? Wouldn't you rather blow up the Rhystic Study instead of paying 2? Wouldn't you send a nuclear missile to Atraxa rather than watching your poison counters get proliferated? So there's an easy solution. Remove it. Not only are you stopping others from winning the game, but you're actively placing yourself in a much better place than you would have if you've just let the Rhystic Study hang out. If you want to win, you have to be able to stop others from winning the game, all while protecting yourself. So, on top of just removal, you need to run protection. You have Fog in green. You have instant speed return to battlefield in black. You have out of existence in white. Red has funky, change the target. Blue has
Nope.
And colorless has, well, just about everything you could need. Lightning, Swiftfoot boots, etc. And this is a topic for another video, but Swiftfoot boot supremacy, down with lightning greaves. All of these protection spells will enable you to keep what you like on board while being able to continue building the value engines that so beautifully slap around your opponents. In sum, run interaction. Be able to blow up something on your opponent's board and make sure to protect heroes. You'll definitely regret not being able to do so. So after all this synergy, after making sure your deck is 4 CMC and below, and including all of the interaction, draw, and removal spells you could ever need, are we finally done? Not quite. We gotta win. An aspect that is basically needed to win, but is sometimes ignored in the decks that I see, is the ability to convert a pile of cards into a clear win. How do you do that? Via combat damage? Combo? Ensuring to include a few key pieces to enable you to win a game are tantamount to ensuring that you can win more games. Seems silly initially, but you'd be surprised with how many decks are built to just spin its wheels until they lose. I wouldn't want to sit across that player. Would you? So toss in that Moonshaker Cavalry or other overrun effect for a go wide deck. Let's see that Revel of Riches in a treasure deck. I want to stare down the barrel of a Test of Endurance in a life gain deck. Why? Because games need to end.
Why you boring me? I'm right.
Look, if you want to have a 3-hour plus slugfest, you're more than welcome to have one. But I prefer my games to have a Rising Action, Climax, and Resolution. Usually, that means 3 players get slapped around and dejectedly have to stare at their board while another player goes, "Yeah, well, I think I just went infinite." So where does this leave us? We now have a win condition, CMCs that aren't too crazy, we have an idea of when we want to play certain cards, and we have all of the interaction and draw and removal that we could hope for. Well, I think you did it. I think your deck is probably less bad now. Sorry, I mean, to be completely honest, everyone's deck is going to function differently and everyone's deck is going to have a different objective. The way that you go about completing that objective is on you as a deck builder and player entirely. I can only give so much broad advice until it actually applies to your deck. This is just more broad information to help if your deck feels like it's limping along a little bit. So we finally made it to the end. Thank you so much for sticking around for this video and waiting up a little while for this one to come out. I don't know if you noticed, but I made some
Upgrades, people, upgrades.
got a fancy new mic and built a whole PC to edit on. Hopefully, this helps me produce better content for you.
For me.
So, did any of these tips help you? Have any other deck building advice that you want to share? Feel free to leave a comment or share anything that your heart desires. And maybe if you desire a little more of little old me, leave a like and feel free to subscribe. Thanks guys. This was really bad at MTG.